Hey everyone, it's LC here with Public Eye Outdoors, and we've got a special video here for you today. We're going to do basically a gear dump for up and coming antelope season, and really excited to get to this point of the year. It's been a long, grueling year so far, and hopefully when we get into the hunting seasons, it'll start to lighten up for us all. But anyway, we're going to do a gear dump here and kind of run through some of the things that I use on my antelope hunt. A little history with my antelope hunting. I've been doing it for about 6 years now, and have shot at maybe three antelope that whole time. I basically do spot and stock. That's all I do. And only one time did I use the blind, and really didn't pan out there because I got frustrated because of cows and stuff like that, and they were keeping the antelope out of that area, and it was very frustrating. So I kind of gave up on the blind thing for that season anyway. I did. But so we'll get started here. We'll start out with the blind setup that I use. This is a Cabela's. It's basically like an octagon style blind. It's a nice big size blind. It's quite a bit heavier than most of the blinds, but gives you a lot of room and a lot of comfort inside that blind that you can use cameras, whatever you have on tripods and stuff like that. Doing my own filming and everything, it's handy to have all that room in there so you can move around. The chair, I'll just use basically this is from Cabela's. This is a very heavy chair, but it's a comfortable chair, and comfort is the key when you're sitting out there all day, especially in the heat. So that's basically my blind setup. I'll wear, we'll get into clothing a little bit later, but if I'm blind hunting, basically I'm going to have a black hat and black shirt on. I'm not going to have any camo except for my pants. Obviously the pants is not a big issue because you're below the window line, so with your lower extremities, but not a big deal there. So we'll wear black in the blind, so have your black attire for that. Let's get into water. Okay, water is a huge part of a antelope hunt and a necessity, obviously, in any situation, life in general, but especially in antelope hunting because it's warm season. It's going to usually be hot. You're moving a lot, and getting dehydrated out there is a huge possibility, which has happened to me in prior years, and it's not a fun situation to be in. So keep yourself hydrated. When I go in, I basically set up a base camp. I don't pack in on my back anymore for antelope hunting. It's just not a productive way to really hunt them because they just move around so much. And so I will have a base camp. I will set up a base camp, have my tent set up. The tent that I use is a Cabela's Alaskan Guide dome tent. Like a 4-man tent. It's really a comfortable tent to be in by yourself, especially. I'm a solo hunter, so pretty much most of my hunts, all my hunts so far have been on my own, except for maybe a couple friends going with me here and there. So anyway, back to water. There's quite a few options here. The biggest thing that you need to worry about with your water, I will have 2 5-gallon containers, basically like gas cans, but they're made for water, and I will take 2 of those, so I have 10 gallons of water in those containers in the back of the truck to use at any time. The water sources out where I'm hunting are very scarce. You have cattle tanks basically and some ponds here and there scattered out. And that's about it as far as set water sources, and some of those water sources are not even water sources at that time of year because it's so hot. So depending on where, I do know of one tank that's readily available to use, but it's on private. So fortunately, it's right on the boundary, so you can kind of get your water out of that tank if you need to. But other than that, there's a couple ponds in that area, but they're heavily used with ducks and cows and things like that. So it's really nasty water, stagnant water. So not really a good water source. There are some purification ways to get around that, and we'll get into those here. But anyway, be prepared with water. Have it with you at your base camp so you can fill up your bladders and all that stuff as the days progress. So that's basically my water plan, is to have like platypuses. These are just some cheap ones that I had laying around to use for a demonstration, but they're just water bladders, like 1 liters. You can use those like a 3 liter or bigger if you need quite a bit of water. The other thing I'll use is an Nalgene bottle. This one is really a nice one. It's got two openings on it. You got your main lid here, and I like these because you can get in. I'll usually go to the water source, put like my my hood or my mask or glove or something that's going to keep all the big stuff out of there over the top of that, fill it up, and then put the lid on. And then with this one, you can turn and open up your drinking spout. So that way you're not drinking off the contaminated sides of the bottle if you only have one opening. So that's something to keep in mind, and the style that I use for my Nalgene bottle. That'll always be filled up on my side, and then more than likely I'll be running like a 3 liter bag in my pack. So if you, like, a lot of times I'll run out of water. I drink so much water out there. You're doing a lot of walking, and it's really hot. So you're consuming water a lot, so you have to be prepared to find water out in the field. Last year on my hunt, we had quite a bit of water, standing water, because we had a huge rain that season, and so there was a lot of standing water, which was nice. You could go to about any corner of that area and get water from some creek or hole. Everything was filled, and that's why it made it really hard to ground blind hunt, because there was water sources everywhere. But anyway, if you can get those water sources, what I use is like a Sterapin. This is basically a water purification system that runs on batteries. It's an ultraviolet light, basically like the sun. Okay, if you can set water in a container, clear container, and set it out in the sun for a day, you have purified water. Basically the same idea with this. Okay, it's going to kill all those microbials and all those little nasties that are in your water, living and swimming and breathing. So that's what that is. You just put it in there, swirl it around for 2 minutes until the light comes on, and then it's good to go. Okay, that's one option. The other option is in my kill kit, which we'll get to. That's going to be tablets, fast-acting tablets, and those are always with me. The other one that you can just stick in your pack and is really light and compact and easy to run with would be like a Life Straw. And that actually would be, if you're running and gunning quick and hard, that's probably the easiest source of water. Just to find those water holes, use that Life Straw, and be on your way. But those are the three options that you can have. The other one is boiling water. So if you have a jet boiler or some kind of gas container with you, just adds a little bit of weight and a little bit of time to get that water source purified. But you could do it that way too if you don't have any of this other stuff. Just boil it. So there's 4 options for purifying your water, and different things that I use for my water sources. So got that out of the way. We'll go to my kill kit. Basically, my kill kit is just consists of knives and bags. There's not a lot to it. These are Black Ovis sacks that I'm using and running this year. They're basically a breathable material, very lightweight. I would say compare it to maybe like a pillowcase, but these are much better than a pillowcase. Okay, that's cotton. These are going to be a synthetic material that's going to be breathable, washable. You can reuse these. They've got the fluorescent strips on them, so if you have to pack back in and find your bags, you know, if you have to put them up, we obviously won't be putting anything in trees, hanging trees, but you know, these are nice, so you can find your way back to them in the dark if you have to. So yeah, they got a nice cinch string on the top here. There's a lot of them out there on the market now. They used to just have the cheesecloth ones from, you know, you can get those from Cabela's, the cheap ones, but they stretch, and the bugs and flies and everything can really get in there easily. So not a good option as far as I'm concerned, but that if it's not in your budget. But these are not real expensive. You can find some really good deals on bags now because they're so abundant with so many different companies. There's a little bit of a market there for them now. So I'll get back in here. I haven't ran through everything I got in here. So I'll have paracord in there. I've got all my bags in there right now, but I'll only have like 3 or 4 with me. The knife that I use is a Havilon. This is the Havilon Piranha. Basically is like a surgical replaceable blade. Very nice and sharp. I love these blades. They make quick work of skinning and taking meat off bone and stuff like that. When I get an animal down, I usually will not debone it. I leave it on the bone and carry it out that way. I think the meat just lasts and is better protected that way. When you take the meat off, and when you debone meat and you throw it in a bag, everything settles to the bottom, and you get hot spots in that bag of meat. Okay, unless you're flipping it around and moving it constantly, you're going to get warm spots there, which is going to get stagnant, and you're going to have bad spots in your meat. So something to keep in mind. Keep those quarters on the bone if possible. I know it adds quite a bit more weight to it, but as far as your meat goes, it's the best way to carry it. And so especially with antelope, when they're so small like that, it's not that big a deal. Just throw the quarters in the bag and throw your back straps and your trimmings and all that in another bag, and you're off. So paracord is something else that's in my kill kit. So if I have to tie things in the tree to keep them up off the ground and air out, I've got that. Carry gloves in here, not really a necessity in my mind, but it's nice to have. Some tracking tape. Just tie these around things when you're trying to figure out if you got, you know, a marginal hit. Trying to figure out where that trail's leading to. It's nice to have that to track, go back and reroute things. So that's my kill kit. That's basically it. I will have one other knife with me. And that's going to be the swing blade from Outdoor Edge. Basically just a 2-bladed. They call it the swing blade. This is the old style. You got your gut hook here, and then your regular blade here. This thing is used and abused. I probably need to do quite a bit of work with this thing, but I should just break down and buy a new one. Anyway, that's my kill kit and my knife setup. The other thing I will have with me is a Leatherman of some sort. This is a Schrade. You've got your, this is a really good set here. You've got your pliers and some accessory stuff here that's really not really useful, but is there if you need it. So that's really nice for picking out cactus out of your leg or whatever. So we're not going in any real order here. We're just going to grab and go. The lights that I use, this is a Black Diamond Storm. Very good light, long-lasting battery life on these. Multiple settings. You got red and green on this one also, which I like walking in, especially to a stand setup situation in trees. My GoPro, I also have, I'm going to put one in my kill kit, so it's nice to have 2 or even 3 lights in your bag at all times. In case that one goes down, you're pretty much screwed if you don't have a backup. So usually I'll have one in my kill kit. I need to do that. That's kind of why I'm going through this. GoPro will be strapped onto my chest, or usually I'll clip it into my harness, my vinyl harness. Not a necessity, but nice to have with you. Say you have water sources that you have questions on, see if anything's coming and going in there, you want to see what the caliber of animal is. I carry one small trail camera, and I can set that up on a water source and see what's there while I'm in other areas. Like I said, it's not a necessity, but it's nice to have. This will be with me at all times, no matter what hunt I'm on. It's basically like a, I believe this is like a 6x6 tarp. Okay, it's just your average tarp. You can use Tyvek. Tyvek would be a little lighter, but I kind of like this one because it's got a little bit of weight to it, so it's not blowing around quite as much in the wind as Tyvek would. Or whatever you can use. It's basically a drop cloth or drop sheet to keep my meat off the ground. So when I'm breaking that animal down, I do a gutless method. So I'll take the quarters off, slap them on there, and then get all my meat and just throw it on that tarp. And that way I can keep that meat as clean as possible with this. So have a tarp or some kind of throw cloth or something that you can throw your meat on and keep it out of the dirt and the grass. Especially with antelope. Antelope is a very what do I want to say? The meat has to be cared for. You can't treat it like a deer. You know, if you're planning on taking your antelope and dragging it half a mile back to your truck through the dirt and the dust and throwing it in the back of the truck and making an 8-hour trip home with it like you would a deer or something. Some of these guys, you know, they don't really care for their meat like they should, but especially with antelope, if you do that, you're not going to have anything left and it's going to taste like crap. And I think that's why the antelope meat gets such a bad rap, is because guys just simply do not take care of the meat like they properly should. And that's a big thing with antelope. The other thing that I'm going to be carrying with me from experience last year especially, man, the mosquitoes were absolutely insane out there where I was at when I was trying to break this antelope down. So I will be carrying some kind of bug repellent. Doesn't have to be a big container like this, but if you've got little packets or whatever you can put on when you're not necessarily needed throughout the day. You know, I didn't really have too many problems in the heat of the day, because there's usually a wind, you know, a breeze of some kind keeping them off you. But once that sun starts going down, if you've got one down and you have to break him down and the evening kicks in before you get it done, and that wind breaks off, man, you're going to be miserable if you don't have this. And I learned that the hard way last year, man. It took me an hour or better to get this thing broke down, because I was constantly just getting gnats and mosquitoes and stuff off of me. So be prepared for that if you're out there in those grasslands and sage flats and stuff like that. And those mosquitoes could get really bad out there if you're around water sources with no wind. So anyway, okay, first aid kit. This is a fire starting kit. I really don't need that on an antelope trip, but it's nice to have with you. just in case. Like, that's more of a fire starting kit is more of a cold weather necessity. If you get too cold out there in the middle of nowhere, you can start a fire and get warmed up. So that's kind of why that's carried in the backpack. My first aid kit is basically just a bunch of stuff thrown in this. This is kind of overkill, but I like to have too much and not enough. I've got Neosporin, I've got aspirin, I've got antibiotics, tape, bandages, Benadryl, aspirin, Carmex, gauze bandages, things like that. So just about everything. Just keep in mind what you're going to run into out there. A lot of times you'll have blisters, or you'll be getting headaches, or you'll get cuts. Sometimes I get poison ivy and things like that, so I'll get really rashy and itchy, so I'll have Benadryl, things of that nature in that. So let's see, what can we go to next? Let's go back to the tent and my base camp. Usually what I'll have is a cot in there with me, and then just a 30-degree sleeping bag. You can even go a little bit lighter, but at 30 degrees is about right, because in the evenings sometimes, like in the 1st of September or so, it gets a little bit cooler at night. So at 30 degrees is nice to have. And then I'll have a pad, sleeping pad underneath that. This is the Thermarest. This is a Trail Pro large. It's really been a nice pad for me to sleep on, comfortable. And then I'll have there's a couple of different ways I do with my pillow. I can use this if I don't remember to bring just a regular pillow. Where I have a base camp, I really don't have to worry about weight. So if you're worrying about weight, this is the way to go. If not, just a regular pillow will work for that. Okay, let's get into our pack here. We'll go to the pack here first and kind of run through that, what I'm using. This is a Mystery Ranch Pintler. This is a day pack basically, but it's a little bit bigger than your mule that I used last year. That was a good pack too, but it just didn't have quite the room in it that I needed. It was a little bit condensed when I was packing the Antelope out on my back and trying to keep all my gear in there too. It was just, I had things tied on the back outside, and just, it was kind of cumbersome. But this pack here is a little bigger in cubic inches, so we will probably be fine there. The thing I like about this pack is, first of all, it's got the top on it. It's got a compartment here on top that you can put your rain gear. We'll get into all that here in a minute, but it's got two zippers here on top that you can open up, and then down the whole front of this, it opens up, and you can get to stuff really easy that way. It's got two large sleeves on the sides here. You could actually put your spotting scope down in one of those. It has a spot here that you could slide something down into. It's got some internal pockets here. Got a water bladder carrier here with the holder and the hole up top for your hose to come out the side. Very well built. Mystery Ranch is a very well built pack system. If you are looking for a good line, you're going to pay some money for them, but they're any good quality pack is going to be quite a bit of money. The other thing I'm going to run this year on this thing is a camera clip. I just recently bought this and was always getting tired of having to keep my camera on my tripod or carrying it in my hand or throwing it in the pack and not having it accessible when I needed it. So I decided to go with a camera clip. This one here is from a company called Puluz, P-U-L-U-Z. I'm not sure how they pronounce it, but anyway, it's basically just like an Amazon clip, but it's very well built. I was really pleasantly surprised when I got them for the money. It was only like $24 $23, $24 for, and I got 2 of them for, you know, one for my regular pack and then one for a different pack or on my hip or whatever. But very, very well constructed. It's a aloe base, like a metal base, and it's very sturdy. The other nice thing that I came across when I finally got this in the mail was this camera base actually works with my new tripod too. So we'll get into that here in a minute. But that was really a bonus that base will work with my tripod. So it coincides with my tripod. Nice to have. So anyway, check into that. That's a nice system to have. You know, your clip and your tripod working simultaneously, so you're not having to buy multiple bases for all your stuff. Let's see what else we got here. The other thing that I run when I'm first getting in there, driving through those areas, I like to have a window mount for my tripod and my binoculars. If you're driving around looking, spotting, this is the way to go. Just a window mount. Always have that in the truck. For my binoculars and my tripod, I'll have the binocular harness mount for your tripod. Basically, this is from Leupold, kind of a cheap version, and there's some other expensive ones out there, but this works fine for me. Just basically put your binoculars in there, strap it down, and you can set that on your tripod and glass comfortably that way and steady. So that's always with me. I always have my phone scope attachment with me. Your cell phone will sit in here. Hook that up to your spotting scope, and you can record whatever you're seeing out there at longer distances and kind of judge. Makes it a lot easier to judge those animals with that. So that's always with me. My binocular harness. This is an Alaskan Guide Creations. This is their 50 series. Very nice, well built, well constructed bino harness. It's got 2 small pouches on the side for like wind indicators. I stick a spare release in here. On the front you have a pouch. I use my rangefinder, which is a Leupold, what is this, the RX 850. This is from Leupold. Very nice. Been a good rangefinder for me. Has the angle compensation and all that too. So the binoculars I usually run now are 12 by 50s, and a lot of guys will ask why you want to use them 12s. Then, you know, they're pretty shaky with that 12 power, but I like the 12s because I'm using the tripod a lot to do the spotting. So that bigger eye relief is very shaky in the hands. But the nice thing about this bino harness, once you have this thing on, it's got 2 tethers that you clip on, and you can actually remove your binoculars that way if you need to. But that puts added support on those binoculars so they're not shaking as bad. So I don't find it too bad to run the 12s, and but the reason I do is, you know, instead of 10 is for the use on the tripod. It's a lot easier to sit there for hours and glass through those 12 by 50s instead of the 10 by 45s or whatever, 42s. So that's my setup for my binoculars and my harness. The tripod that I'm using this year is a K&F Concept. This is basically a photographer's tripod. However, for the money, I didn't think that it was out of the realm of possibilities, and it's a very well built tripod. This is the Pro Series. It's got it basically will adjust up and down in 2 different spots. I have a video out on this tripod, so if you're wanting to know more about this tripod, I think this tripod was about $135, and I think it will do just as much, if not more, than a carbon fiber high dollar one. So if that's something you're looking forward are looking for, I've got a video out on this one and kind of explain some of the features of it, but very well. It's only 3 pounds. It's not as light as, say, a carbon fiber. This is aluminum base, but I don't do a lot of long. I mean, I will travel, 6-7 miles in a day, walking through different areas probably. But as far as like trekking into my hunting spot, backpacking in, and things like that, I'm not doing any of that. So the weight is not the biggest issue for me. It's the usability of this tripod, and it's very functional. So that's what I'm running. This is a Leupold spotting scope, just one of their more inexpensive versions, but it does a very good job. It's got the sun shield on it, the dust shield. I can't remember what the power is on this, but it gets out there far enough for me. It's not a real high dollar one. One of these days I'll have to upgrade, but for now it will work, and that usually is, it's light enough that I can carry it with me and not have to worry about the weight too much. The other thing you might consider is decoys. Now, I tried these for the first time last year and really had no luck with them, and I'm sure that may have been due to the time of year. I think I was right in that window where they were starting to get rounded up a little bit and move does and stuff, but the bucks, they were still pretty well grouped up, and they didn't want anything to do with the decoys. So probably later in the season these will be a little bit better as far as tactics go. So I will have them with me. Whether I use them or not will depend on the attitude of the goats and stuff. So that's an option, kind of help you get in closer. Let's see, the other thing that I might carry with me is trekking poles. The older I get, the harder it gets to get in and out of those hills. So I will have a set of trekking poles somewhere in my truck or with me or whatever, but nice option to have, trekking poles to get some footing and give you a little bit of help getting up and down those hills. The sand hills are really people don't see them as a big obstacle when it comes to hunting, but I'll tell you what, when you're going up and down for miles on end, it gets, you're not gaining. You're always gaining, losing, and not only that, it's kind of a mental thing. It's just like, oh, not another one. You just got over the top of this one or around this one, and you got another one that you got to go. So it's not an easy hunt out there in those hills. With the sand and everything, giving way under your feet. So it's very taxing, especially when you have a load on your back and you gotta go, 3-4 miles at a shot. So anyway, let's see. My weapon of choice is a Matthews. This is the Matthews Traverse. Just bought this bow last year, brand new. Very happy with this bow. It's fast. It's a little bit on the heavy side, but I don't mind that. I like the heavier bows. It just gives me a lot more stability in like wind and things like that, or just distance shooting. That's one of the things that you're going to have to be prepared for, is distance. Okay, so if you're one of these guys that are just practicing on the weekends and shooting 20 yards every day that you're out, you're probably not going to have a lot of success. Okay, and I don't mean to be rude, but that's just a fact. When it comes to antelope hunting, you have to be able to shoot distance, and anybody that argues that is not someone that has been on antelope hunts very often, in my opinion. So this antelope that I took last year was actually shot at 90 yards. That was the only opportunity I really had with these antelope. The way they were, the way that they were acting, and the water sources that they had, they really didn't have to travel to get water. So it was really hard to get into a group of them because they were just kind of congregated in one spot in the open, and I worked very hard to get into this antelope, but I still was only 90 yards away. I was 90 yards away and had to take that 90-yard shot on him. So anyway, this is the Matthews Traverse. My sight of choice is the Spot Hogg Fast Eddie XL. It's a heavier sight, but there again, I like it because the dovetail, it gets you out there about 6 inches. I think for accuracy, that's a little better. This is a single pin / double pin. What I mean by that is it's got a single pin adjustable sight, but it has a second optic in the pin itself. So there's two pin settings that you can go off of here. So say you're at 25 yards with your first pin, okay, on the top. There's also a fiber optic underneath that one that's set a second distance, and that will probably usually run around 10 to 15 yard difference. So if you're at 30 yards with your other one, or your first one, and he moves out 10-15 yards, you can drop down to that second pin, and that will give you your 40-45 yard pin. So instead of having to adjust this each time he moves, you have two options there, and nice to have. I'm not a multiple pin guy. I just never have had luck with it. The simpler, if I can concentrate on one thing, yes, you have to adjust that each time, but that's why I like this double pin. It gives me two options, and that's pretty much all I'm going to need. Let's see, what else we have. The quiver is a quivalizer, and I used to run the quivalizer on the front as a stabilizer, but got away from that when I went to the back bar. So I just use that as my quiver, or my quiver. The arrows are these are gold tip Pierce Platinums. Very good arrow, micro diameter. And these come in, I think they weigh around 340 grains or 430 grains. 340. Yeah, they're lighter. They're lighter than when I normally would shoot for like deer and stuff. Those would be like 510 grains actually. So a lot of FOC to those, but these are very well built. I build my own, and I'm running blazer vanes on these right now, but I think I'm going to be ending up going back to the shield cut, boning shield cut vanes. They're a little bit lower profile, don't catch as much wind as these larger blazer vanes. So I think I'll probably set up my arrows with those shield cuts. Let's see, what else do we have here to talk about? My stabilizers are the Bee Stinger stabilizers. I've got the back bar on the back. Like this setup. I think I've got that's a 8-inch on the back, and then like a 10 on the front. So not a lot of weight up front, but I've got that stabilized to where it just sits in my hand, nice and comfortable, and there's not a lot of recoil to it when it goes off. So very fast bow that's set up at 70-pound draw, and with those micro diameter arrows, you need a fast setup with those antelope. I've taken shots at antelope at 70 yards, and they've actually wheeled out of there way before that arrow even got close to them. So clothing wise, real basic, not a lot there. You're going to be dealing with heat for the most part, so the lighter the better. I will have obviously some rain gear. That time of the year it rains quite a bit. You're going to be in storms here and there, or little rains, and so I will have my rain gear with me. This is a Cabela's Instinct rain gear. Nothing special, but it is lightweight, and that will be in the top of my pack. Socks, I'll usually have like 2 pairs of socks, nothing major, just a light sock to wear. Shirt wise, I like to wear a long sleeve shirt. Okay, that kind of serves two purposes. keeps you nice and cool if you've got the right material in your shirt. This is a Sitka. I believe this is part of the Ascent lineup. It's very light, breathable, wicks away moisture, but that moisture also acts as a cooling system too. So once it wicks that moisture away, it kind of holds it there for you in the heat, and keeps you nice and cool. So the other reason I wear a long sleeve is because I want my arms covered up. I don't want it as I want the most minimal blueprint out there as possible. So the long sleeve is, in my opinion, a must when you're antelope hunting. You can take some short sleeves. I've got, you know, like some short sleeve shirts for like camp and stuff like that. But so this is the one I wore last year. It's kind of a quarter zip right here in the neck, and this is the Cabela's Instinct. It's a breathable fabric. It's a little bit heavier than the Sitka, but it does a nice job of keeping you cool with that sweat. And they also wick away moisture, so you're not getting, you know, if it cools down, it'll dry quick. Just for hats, I just use like what I got on here, just a light breathable hat, nothing special there. Pants, there again, I wear pretty much whatever I can get my hands on that seems like a good choice for what I'm doing. So these are a Cabela's Instinct, these are Redhead. These are just a cheaper Redhead synthetic pant. They're really light, really nice. Air flows through them really well, so keeps you nice and cool. As far as the face goes, I'm not much for masks unless I'm hunting with a rifle or something like that. I will wear them to keep the sun off my face, but when it comes down to shooting, I don't like anything on my face. It's a mental thing with me, that and gloves. I don't practice with them, so I try to take them off or not even wear them. Like I said, the only time I really wear something like a S&A, like a sleeve here, you know, a face shield, is basically the all I'll wear out there just to keep the sun off my neck and my ears and stuff, so I'm not getting a lot of sun exposure on my neck and things. So that's why I would wear a face shield or a mask, basically just for sun protection. Other than that, I will have on some kind of face paint. Now this here is this is HME. This is kind of a lower end face paint, and it's really oily, and it will run on you when it gets too hot. So I don't really care for this in those summer or in those hot seasons. It just gets itchy and runny and greasy, and it's kind of nasty. But the other option I have is it's a new one that I just started trying out this spring, and it's basically like a mascara, but you just put it on like a mascara, and it dries like a wax. Or like a latex paint. So it stays put. It doesn't smear. It will after a while flake, but other than that, you can just wipe it off with a wet cloth, and you're good. This stuff it leaves a residue everywhere. So the other option you would have for face concealment would be a lot of times I will just use mud. You know, get some dirt. If you don't have a water source right there with mud, just take like dirt and pour a little bit of water in there and mix it up, and just spread that on your face. And basically all that is just takes that sheen off your face. Okay, just dulls the look of your face. That's usually my go-to. You'll see me with a lot of crap on my face. It looks like I just fell in a mud pit, but in my opinion, that's the best way to go. It kind of dries a crust on your face, so it keeps the mosquitoes and stuff off you. The other option you could do, and I've done this up in the forest regions, is if you can find some fire fire burnt timber, you know, it leaves that black charcoal in those conifers, and that works really well. That soot, you just take that and spread it on your face, and that'll stay on forever. So some options there for your face. Same thing with my hands. I'll do the same thing with my hands. So just spread mud on there, get that on there, or that soot, and you're good to go. Or paint, whatever. So like I said, it's just, there's a lot of options out there. You're just gonna have to find what works for you. But I just wanted to break down some of the stuff that I take with me. It's pretty minimalistic gear list when it comes to antelope hunting. There's not a lot of thinking. You're just running and gunning and hoping for the best with these antelope. You see the one here behind me. This is the first one that I've been able to take spot and stock, and like I said, it was that was a fun hunt, but there was a lot of work involved in that hunt. So hopefully this year I kind of have a good idea. If they're in that same area, it's going to make it a little bit easier on me, because I kind of know the setup of the area, and there's a few more hills that I can maneuver around in there and stuff. But one of the other things that I didn't mention is knee pads. You know, if they're in your pants, I know Sitka makes a lot of good gear pants for that stock hunting, spot and stock hunting, with knee pads built into the pants. So, but other than that, you could get away with maybe using just a strap-on knee pad. So that's and then I didn't go over my shoes, which is no big deal. I mean, when you're antelope hunting, there again, you're going to be moving quick. You're going to be in and out, running. So you want a light, comfortable shoe. And I think these are a crispy Thor. These are very lightweight, breathable, but yet waterproof boot. But they're a Flex 4. They're not real. They're really stiff. So I don't know if that's going to be a great option out in antelope country, but we'll probably run them for a day or so and see how they react, and then I'm probably going to go and get a cross trainer of some kind, or even a tennis shoe style, aggressive tennis shoe style hunting shoe. But anyway, that's what I've got for you. If this is helpful, leave a comment. Subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up and a like, and we really appreciate anybody's feedback and your subscription to the channel. Hopefully we can get a lot more videos out there this year, but that's what I have for you. Hopefully this is helpful. Thanks for watching Public Eye Outdoors, and stay safe out there in your hunts this year, people. And we will see you on the next video.